Good evening. I'm Allie Powell, and we have an amazing episode for you guys tonight. In a minute, I will be joined with our very own Noah C. Cornelius and Eric Fisher, alongside special guest Cooper Govoreau from the Sports Wrap, to discuss App's performance Tuesday night, and we will look at some impact players for the upcoming Coastal game. All of this and more coming to you now. I am now joined by our very own Noah C. Cornelius and Eric Fisher, and we have a special guest, Cooper Govoreau from WASU Sports Wrap. So guys, the football team got their second loss of the season last week, losing to Louisiana Lafayette 41-13. I will say they did not look like the App State team we know. They looked slow and sluggish. They just weren't performing at the level they were earlier this season.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, slow and sluggish. 13 points is not enough for App State to win a football game in the Sun Belt, let alone Louisiana, who is 5-1 now, 3-0 in the conference. So obviously, they have a lot to work on. They had 246 rushing yards, Louisiana did, and we had 209 total yards. So there is a lot to improve on. Slow and sluggish is a point that you said, and that you couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, and if we're going to be talking about scores for a second, Louisiana scored 20 points in just the first quarter. App State scored just 3. That's on the back of Chase Bryce, who had 133 yards, 2 interceptions, a fumble, and another errant throw to Nate Noel, resulting in a turnover. And you were just talking about this earlier. I have a bullet point on my laptop that says just awful. It was just awful. Like I was driving back up from fall break to Boone, and I was listening to it on the radio, and my phone starts blowing up from the group chat saying, it's like, what's going on? Why are we playing so bad? It was just an awful performance from our quarterback. Last episode, I'm sorry, I cut you off, but go. I'll add one more thing real quick. Last episode, I said I wanted to see more from Chase Bryce. Yeah. I saw more, but it was more bad things.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, every side of the ball is bad. Defense, offense, special teams. It just felt out of sync. I don't know if it was the game plan for the coaching staff, but you can look at it too. The play calling wasn't good. The schemes by the defense weren't good. It felt like every play Louisiana had on offense was efficient and good. They got like 10 yards or 8 yards on a run, and then App could barely get past the line of scrimmage on a run.
Speaking of getting past the line of scrimmage, I mean, 0-11 is not going to win you a game. 0-11 on third down is not going to win you a game. 133 total pass yards. Chase Bryce obviously commits 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles lost. 4-1 on the turnover ratio is not going to work. Also, we got almost doubled in time of possession, which is a big no-no. Yeah, like you said, Nate Noel, though. Nate Noel comes in for Cam Peoples, right? He's our RB2. We know he's good, right? We know the guy can run. He's done it. He showed us against Marshall where he had over 100 yards rushing. But I think really a big point of emphasis is 17 carries for 44 yards.
Yeah, and I think, too, with Peoples not playing that game, I think they're really hoping – we've seen throughout the season, Noel's put up good numbers in plenty of games. He kind of iced the game for Marshall, and he was a big reason we won that game. So I think going into this, the coaching staff kind of thought, we can definitely lean on Nate Noel, and he can carry us to victory in this game, and that just did not happen. And so without the ability to change to Peoples in the backfield, I think that really just kind of like slowed down the offense. And then Chase Bryce obviously had a very poor game, and he couldn't pick it up as well. So there was just no one really on offense that they could rely on, because I mean, a receiver can't have a great game if your quarterback's not. So they can't. The receiver can't step up and carry the offense. So I mean, it was just. There was no consistency on the offense at all.
Yeah, there was no consistency at all. And we talked about the running game a little bit. We had 78 yards as a team. Noel, 44 yards, longest run, 12 yards. We were playing I think we were playing like our third string, maybe even like fourth string running back for a couple plays.
Played a little bit.
That's yeah. And I was sitting there, I was thinking we just have no answers for this. And there were times where we ran way too much on first down. It was like Louisiana was just reading our plays and just smothering us. We had no answers. We just had none whatsoever.
Yeah, and there was a lack of adjustments too. It really. When I was watching the game in the first half, and I was thinking, okay, the coaching staff can adjust, and maybe we get a good drive coming out of half, and really turn around the game, and that just didn't happen. It felt like it got worse. I don't know why.
No, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it got it was just so bad. Like we ran on 3rd and long sometimes, and I was like, what are we doing? Like the offensive play calling was just so bad. We were running around like a headless chicken out there.
Sure, and I like to say complementary football is what wins games, right?
Absolutely.
Offense is running and the pass, right? So Levi Lewis compared to Chase Bryce, Levi Lewis goes 15 to 25 for 209 yards, a touchdown and an interception, but he also ran in one. So that's a little bit of complementary football. Chase Bryce, 15 to 26, about the same completion percentage, but he has 133 yards, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So in terms of Chase Bryce versus Levi Lewis, I love to make quarterback comparisons in every football game because the quarterback is the sheriff. He is the leader of the team, the sole representative of if the team loses or wins, everybody points the finger at the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So what I look at when I see this is Levi Lewis had a more complimentary game. Levi Lewis was able to get his run game involved for 246 yards as compared to 78. And Chase Bryce turned the ball over 4 times. So when I compare quarterbacks, which I love to do, it is just kind of abysmal in terms of, Levi Lewis did a lot better. He used his legs more, and Chase Bryce had 7 rushes for 11 yards. So really, those were just scramble runs. And you mentioned earlier, and something I wanted to touch on, 20 to 3 in the first quarter. We don't start. We didn't start fast. We didn't start good.
Not at all.
14 to nothing in the fourth quarter. So we didn't start or finish good.
Nope.
And that game script just won't work against teams like Louisiana.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of the numbers guy. I'm looking at it right here. Actually, let's start with Levi Lewis. Louisiana passing, he had 83.6 on the QBR.
Yep.
You want to know what Chase Bryce had? He had 26.4. And for all my casual viewers out there, like QBR, like it's just like a rating of how good it is. Obviously, the higher the number is, the better the quarterback does. For a quarterback to get a 26, that is absolutely abysmal, and that just cannot happen. And right now, I'm thinking in my mind, it's like, is it time to start somebody else? Obviously, I know we're going into Coastal next week, but like the question has to be asked. With Chase Bryce, he came in with the interceptions when he played at Duke. The question has to be asked: is it time for a change?
Yeah, and also you're playing from behind, so you're 1-1 in conference now, 4-2. So
Yeah.
All right, we have a big game against Coastal next week on Wednesday. Who is going to be the difference makers and who will have the biggest impact? Well, the guys are going to tell us just after the break.
When one arrives in Boone, you pretty quickly feel embraced by the mountains. The same thing happens here at the university. When you are a student here at the College of Business, you're embraced by the Appalachian community.
The name Appalachian State University, it means something and it connects with people. The experience goes beyond academics. There's a culture here. Everywhere I go, I wear that golden A. I take pride in that. It's not something that you find everywhere.
One of the things that's great about Appalachian is it has the resources of a big school, but the small school community.
Professors here take such an important view of how they can impact the lives of students.
That's the reason why we're here, supporting the students, seeing that they're successful both in their time here and then as they graduate.
We have a remarkable connection between faculty and students.
We have some of the leading voices in the field, so it really creates an intellectually vibrant environment.
We have the smaller class sizes, we have the high faculty engagement, and it really sets us apart.
These students are phenomenal. These students are, in my opinion, going to be the change seekers and change makers in the world. Not only through their professional skills, but also because of the passion they have got for making this world a better place.
A lot of people think of school as coming to the classroom and then going home and doing homework. At the Walker College, it's not like that.
We're really trying to rethink how we deliver education, what the purpose of education is. Really trying to break that hierarchy of the professor being out in front with all the great ideas and instead saying, you know what, everybody has great ideas.
They're figuring out those solutions through innovative thinking, through an innovative process.
Innovation is the edge. We are trying very hard to push our students to think in ways that they can not only think outside the box, but what kind of positive impacts they will be able to make in the world.
Having these different opportunities really sets our college apart.
We're trying to prepare the leaders of tomorrow by giving them ways of thinking about problems so they come up with solutions that are meaningful.
The students hit the ground running. They are the most technically competent, ready to go day one students. You know, when you get out into the business environment, that's the attitude you have to have.
Hiring an Appalachian graduate, as an employer, I know that I've got someone who can come in and hit the ground running.
One of the phrases you'll hear used often in the College of Business is business for good. We want our students going out in the world and helping to make it better by using business practices that can help.
I'm thankful for the transformational experience that Appalachian has given me. This college has shaped me both as a person and, I think, a servant leader.
Being a Mountaineer and being part of the Walker College of Business has shaped who I am today.
I'm really excited to enter the workforce with the skills that I've gained here.
For me, Appalachian really represents family. You know, I don't know where I would be without my Appalachian experience. I'm proud to be a Mountaineer in so many ways.
Any student that comes out of the Walker College of Business is extraordinarily prepared to be successful and to make a difference in the world.
If you want to be able to work side by side with faculty, students, staff, community, partners, and industry, we want you to be part of our family.
Welcome back to the A Game. I'm Allie Powell alongside Eric, Noah, and Cooper. Big game against Coastal next Wednesday. Tell me who you should look out for in the game.
Yeah, so impact players for App State and Coastal. I started out personally as an O-lineman back in high school. I got my boy DT, Demetrius Taylor. I got to favor the lineman. Demetrius Taylor fronts one of the Sun Belt's best defensive lines, and quite possibly he's the best interior defensive lineman in the Sun Belt. He has 2.5 sacks on the season. He's on trend to get more than what he had last year, which was 6 and 7 the year before. He's just disruptive. I also like him paired with Jordan Earl and Caleb Sperlin. That's a really good 3-down line that we run. And also, he's able to get pressure in the Marshall game. He had 2 sacks in that game. He had half a sack against Georgia State. He's been really productive, and I just really like his odds to get at Grayson McCall, who, hey, let's see it. Grayson McCall is actually my pick for Coastal Carolina. As we all know, quite possibly one of the best quarterbacks in the Sun Belt Conference. Almost 1,500 yards on the season. 14-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That looks pretty good to me. 2 rushing touchdowns. He's pretty accurate. On the season, I believe he has about an 80% completion rate. So, I mean, he speaks for himself. He's very pocket aware. Grayson McCall is actually a guy from Charlotte, or from around the Charlotte area. And I just like what he can do in the pocket. Out of the pocket, he's got the 2 rushing touchdowns. So, a little more actually a little more versatile than Chase Bryce on the other end in terms of rushing. So, that's what makes him the impact player for me.
Yeah, and for App State, I had to go with, he's in a lot of controversy after last game. Chase Bryce, he had a really rough game. He threw 2 interceptions against the game, Louisiana, Raging Cajuns. That was not a good game. And, the thing to talk about is the interceptions, turnovers. We've been talking about that on here since the first episode, Noah and I, we have. And, you look at the interceptions that he threw, too. He was one of the highest in the FBS. Yep. And, it hasn't really improved, but, I believe if App wants to win this game, which they do, it is going to have to go on the shoulders of Chase Bryce. Who knows what's going to happen with Cameron Peoples? I don't know if they can rely on him, how healthy he'll be. So I think Chase Bryce will be, the guy to watch for App State. But also, I think this kind of might be the defining moment of his Appalachian State career. This will probably be his last year here. So I think this game, he could be in the heart of fans if he pulls out this massive win at home, or it could get worse than it already is. And for Coastal Carolina, he had a huge breakout game last week. Tight end Isaiah Likely, he had over 200 receiving yards in his last game. And his touchdowns, he's a big red zone threat. And that is something the Appalachian State defense needs to look out for. I thought the pass defense in the past couple games has been a little iffy, and it struggled against Marshall as well, and especially against Louisiana, and it won't get any easier against Coastal. Coastal's going to be one of the best teams they're playing so far. I mean, obviously by the rank, the highest ranked opponent they're facing so far. And Isaiah Likely is going to be another threat that they're going to have to watch out for in the red zone. He's got a big frame, so he's going to be tough to cover in the red zone. I think TD Roof will be a big player to watch out for, possibly covering Isaiah Likely, so that'd be a tough player for them to watch out for.
Yeah, and for me, guys, I picked one of Chase Bryce's favorite targets, Corey Sutton. 34 receptions, 492 yards, and 3 touchdowns on the season so far for Corey. Obviously, like I said, he is the favorite target of Chase Bryce, and we're going to need him to step up big, as well as Chase Bryce to step up big against Coastal if we are going to pull out the win. Now, for Coastal Carolina, I picked wide receiver Javon Helly with 29 receptions, 573 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He is Grayson McCall's favorite target for Coastal Carolina, so it's only fitting I picked the 2 favorite wide receiving targets for each team. We're going to have to shut down Javon if we want to win this game. We're going to need great cornerback coverage, and we're just going to make sure that he doesn't get down deep, because Grayson McCall, he likes that deep ball, and if Javon is open, he's going to take it right to the end zone. Those are my impact players.
I think you make a really good point on Helly, because we'll probably have Sean Jolly, who's someone I would have liked to have covered as well. Sean Jolly, our best coverage corner, is going to probably be on Javon the entire game. And we may even see some switching if we do, a single high safety, bring a safety down and, rush a corner. But I think what will really show and prove to be important in this game is how well can our secondary guard these threats right here, because that's 1,000 yards of his 1,400 right there with 2 players. So like you mentioned, TD Roof, a big fan of the Indiana transfer. He came here and he's had a lot of opportunities to play. He didn't play much in that Marshall game. He only played about 1 or 2 series, but he had a really good game against Miami, and he had a really good game against Georgia State as well. So you look to see if he can cover, because we know our leading tackler, DeMarco Jackson, is not the best coverage linebacker in the Sun Belt. We know that.
Not at all.
Exactly. He's a great tackler, but coverage, he's not the best. So TD Roof would be a great matchup here, and Sean Jolly would be a great matchup here as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and these are the keys for Appalachian State to be successful. You have to shut down these guys. Offense needs to get going and bounce back majorly to get any chance against Coastal.
Yeah, we cannot have what we had happen against Louisiana happen against Coastal, guys.
All right, guys. It was a long weekend for the other App State teams. How did our teams fare over fall break? We will let you know when we come back.
Life is a journey. We're told that there are mountains and valleys before us. A mountaineer trudges through. Where others see an obstacle, a mountaineer sees an opportunity. A mountaineer climbs tomorrow's mountains today. So what is a mountaineer? A mountaineer is you.
Hi, my name is Melissa Weddle, and I'm Department Chair of Recreation Management and Physical Education at Appalachian State University. We offer 2 degree-granting programs, one in Recreation Management with a focus in Outdoor Experiential Education, Recreation and Park Management, and Commercial Recreation and Tourism. Our second degree-granting program in Health, Physical Education, and Coaching offers teacher certification for public schools in health and physical education. You can get a minor or certificate in coaching. We are the front porch to the Beaver College of Health Science, where our focus is on quality of life, wellness, and physical activity. We're located in the beautiful mountains of Boone, North Carolina, so come join us, check out our website, or take a class.
It was a tough break for the rest of the Mountaineer teams after only picking up one win across 4 teams. Starting off with volleyball. After their first conference win against Georgia State in their last competition, the Mountaineer volleyball team hosted both South Alabama and Troy, but unfortunately fell to both teams over the break. In both competitions, the team fell in 3 straight sets, unable to take a single one away from their competitors. McCall Denny led the Mountaineer offense, finishing the weekend with an impressive 18 kills, with 14 of them coming in their match against South Alabama, for the most in the game. Emma Riley took care of the defense for the Mountaineers and recorded 28 digs on the weekend. Riley leads the team in digs with 307, more than doubling anyone else on the team. This is the team's 7th 0-3 loss this season, bringing their overall record to 5-13 and their in-conference record to 1-5. The team will be back in action for 2 home weekend matchups to host both the Louisiana Lafayette Ragin' Cajuns tomorrow and the University of Louisiana Monroe on Sunday. The women's soccer team suffered 2 Sunbelt losses at an away game to Troy and a home game to Texas State. In both games, the Mountaineers lost 0-1, unable to score during the 180 minutes of play. This was the team's 6th Sunbelt contest, and even after playing so hard at every single one of them, they have been unable to overcome their competition and secure a single in-conference win. In their first game, Sarah Witterich led the team's offense, taking 4 of the 10 App State shots, with 2 being on goal. In the second game, sophomore defender Brecklin Monteith and junior midfielder Emma McGivney led the offense with 3 and 2 shots respectively, and both having 2 shots on goal. Tomorrow night, they will have another chance to earn their first conference win as they travel down to Louisiana to play 2-3-1 ULM, and Sunday when they face off to the 5-1-0 Arkansas State Red Wolves. After securing a win against Ohio last week, the Mountaineer field hockey team traveled to Muncie, Indiana and Louisville, Kentucky to play Ball State and Bellarmine. In Indiana, App State fell to Ball State in a close 0-1 showdown. Even after 4 quarters of play, neither team was able to score, bringing the Mountaineers into their first overtime game of the season. Overtime lasted just over 5 minutes, but the Ball State offense was able to slip past the Mountaineers and connect with the net for the only score of the game. Junior goalkeeper Addie Clark stayed in for all 4 quarters and overtime, only letting in 1 off of the 7 shots that came her way. The Black and Gold was able to rally in their second game in an offensive takedown 4-2. Sarah Farrell, Anna Cimarelli, Charlotte Bosma, and Polly Mangold were all able to connect with the goal during the game. Frederick Segan broke the record for all-time career assists, making her 23rd since starting in college. Even with their 2 scores, Bellarmine never even got close to the Mountaineers and ended the game with a loss. The Mountaineers are now 5-5 overall and 2-2 in conference play. They will be playing once more tomorrow night against Longwood University and Sunday against LaSalle. The men's golf team participated in the Phoenix Invitational, having a strong showing in Burlington to come in second of the 13 participating teams. The only team to have a better day than the Mountaineers was the host of the competition, Elon themselves, who played 31 under with a total score of 821 strokes between the 3 players. App State finished 22 under par and had a total stroke count of 830 on the day. Individually, the 3 Mountaineer players also had great days on the course. Jake Lane tied for first with 2 other competitors with a total stroke count of 203 to play 10 under on the day. This was Lane's second first-place finish in just 3 competitions. Timotheus Tierdo Tamardi finished 10th with a 5 under total of 208, and Addison Beam tied for 15th for a finish of 3 under and a total score of 210. In Beam's final round, he had a personal best 68 score finish, which included 7 birdies. This was the team's best placement this season, but more is still to come as the team will be traveling to Greensboro next week to take place in the Grandover Collegiate competition on Saturday and Sunday. What's coming up this week for App State Athletics? Stay with us to find out when your Mountaineer teams play and how to catch all the action.
brings us to mountains? Is it the possibilities that await us at the top? Are we looking forward to how the challenge will mold us, transform us? Maybe the mountain is inside all of us. After all, we are mountaineers. Appalachian State University.
Welcome back. This is a big week for your Mountaineer teams with a lot of key in-conference games happening this week. To start things off, football will be playing Wednesday, October 20th back in Boone against Coastal Carolina on ESPN2. This is a huge conference game which could decide who makes the Sun Belt Championship, so be sure to cheer them on. Make sure to catch volleyball against Louisiana Lafayette tomorrow and ULM on Sunday, with both games being streamed on ESPN+. Cross country will be back in action taking part in the High Point Vert Cross. Soccer will be playing ULM tomorrow and Arkansas State on Sunday. Your Mountaineer field hockey will be playing against Longwood tomorrow and LaSalle on Sunday, which will be streamed by Twitch. Well, that's all we have for you this week. I'm Allie Powell. Be sure to cheer on the App State teams this weekend. Remember, you can stay up to date with all of the latest game news on Instagram and Twitter at TheA Game Sports. And be sure to catch all of our shows on demand on YouTube and App TV. We will see you next week.